Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the car, man. I feel like it's been a while. Been a little while. But we back. He back. Cut up. Ooh, cut up. Alright. So I'm back. I'm in the building. Yeah. I'm in the car, man. You know. So yeah, man, you know, I kind of slowed up on the videos. I've been trying to delete stuff off this phone. Probably to get a secondary phone sooner or later. But like it be the battling memory, you know what I'm saying? I done used the memory up on this phone and trying to figure out how to see if I can do this from a computer. I'm still new to this YouTube thing. I'm still new to this YouTube thing, so bear with me. Can you bear with me? Alright, so let's get started, man. Let's get started. I'm gonna talk about the pandemic before the pandemic. Yeah, that's right, you heard me. There was actually a pandemic before Corona. You know what that pandemic was called? It was called the loneliness pandemic. See, you got a lot of people out here that feel lonely. They feel lonely or they don't want to be alone. So they're feeling the effects of it. See, one thing you gotta understand is as a human being, we need people. As a human being, we need people. Happy people! Yeah! It's just the bottom line, bro. That's a fact. I don't care what somebody had. Oh, well, I'm a loner. Oh, I don't need people. Yeah, whatever. You're fake news. That's fake news. Nobody is a loner unless you have like a mental capacity. But shit, probably for those people that got mental issues, they probably could think about it, bro. In that movie Castaway, Tom Hanks befriended a volleyball. Because we need people, we need relationships, we need to bond to something. That is why you have addiction. Because we have to bond to something, whether it's another person, whether it's some coke, heroin, liquor, weed, pornography, food, whatever, relationships, sex, we have to bond to something. And so what you all see is that when somebody becomes addicted to something, they form a bond to that something. You understand me? That's why I tell you all that it's best to have healthy relationships and healthy friendships, because the more emotional connection you have, the less likely you are to become addicted to something. You see? The thing about it is, they've done research on this, and one thing that helps with addiction is emotional connection. One thing that helps with addiction is emotional connection. What is he doing? Somebody's driving crazy. Because I don't care who you are, you need to be heard, understood. You need to be heard. Those are two of the three basic human needs. You need food, water, and to be heard and understood. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm glad she texted me before calling me, because she always calls me when I'm on the phone. And I would have been tight. I'm glad she just texted me. Alright. So yeah. So alright, so the reason why I said the pandemic before Corona was loneliness, because look at our society. Look at how we interacted. We're always in our phones. We're always distracted. Motherfuckers got ADHD now and all this other shit, and you know, all these other mental illnesses, so they really can't afford, I ain't gonna say afford, they don't really have the capacity to be there for you like how you may need them to be. See, the thing you have to understand is that majority of people are bad listeners. Majority of people are bad listeners. So what that means is that, I feel like I'm Bryson Tiller right now. This my Travis Scott vibes right here. See, majority of people are bad listeners because the majority of people, they listen to respond instead of listening to understand. Listening to understand is how you become a great listener. But people don't do that. They listen to respond. How do I know? Because I see it. What do people do when they are listening to somebody? They are going to interrupt them, cut them off, or talk about some story that, you know, they're going to interrupt them, cut them off, or, you know, just do rookie mistakes in the listening field. So, you know, people are bad listeners. People don't listen to their kids, their wife, their girlfriends, boyfriends. So, and people aren't intentionally bad listeners. Some people just don't give a damn. But out of 100 people, I'll say 95 are bad listeners, and out of that 95, I would say 20 are just, they don't care. They're bad listeners. They don't give a fuck. You know, but that's there. So majority of people are bad listeners because they just haven't been taught how to listen, and that's what makes people feel lonely. You got to understand that when people feel lonely, it's because they don't have anybody to hear them. They're not feeling heard or understood. That's pretty much the main culprit in loneliness, is not having anybody to understand you. It's why people go to therapy. You go to therapy for a listening ear, and through that listening ear, through that act of listening, somebody is able to provide you with questions that you may not normally ask yourself, and through those questions you learn that there's a point of view that you may not have been looking at that could possibly help you in your situation. So this is why I tell people, you know, it's good to go to therapy, because a lot of your friends aren't good listeners. So with your friends and family, a lot of times you're not going to feel heard and understood because they're always going to listen to respond. Good listeners are like therapists. That's why you hear a lot of times when, you know, a lot of people tell me, man, it's like talking to you is like talking to a therapist, because I listen. I'm not in a rush to respond. But a lot of people's friends and families are in the rush to respond, and what happens is that makes people feel lonely. Have you ever told somebody some bad news, or maybe something that happened in your life, like, man, somebody, cause if you need anything, if you need to talk, let me know. So you use your listening ear pads, and they be like, man, you know, things be going rough, man. What's wrong? You know, man, just the family and just, you know, just the kids, and it's just been a little rough. I get it. It was like that for me 2 weeks ago, because I'm going to make it about me now and not listen to what you got to say and make you feel invalidated, because I pretty much just asked what was wrong. Then once you told me, I pretty much started talking about me. So I made the situation about me. And even though I might not be doing it on purpose, it's still being done, so you're still going to be hurt from this, but it's okay, because that's what majority of people do anyway. So I'm majority of people. So, you know, anyway, loneliness was the pandemic before Corona. I'm going to get into this more, but loneliness was the pandemic because people felt alone. They're in their gadgets, they're in their phones. People are just distracted, and they're too busy watching Netflix and all this other shit. So, yeah, loneliness was the pandemic before. We're going to talk more about loneliness, because loneliness can cause mental illness, and it can lead you to an early grave, because once you battle loneliness, you are not able to fight off other diseases that your body may normally be able to fight off with a nice amount of healthy attachments. So I just got deep.